In this video, we are going to create a bot that will delete all the messages received in your Telegram channel after a certain amount of time. Different people can use this bot for different purposes. For example, if you are running an Amazon affiliate channel, you may want to delete all the deals you post after say 1 hour because the deal expires in 1 hour. And Amazon does not want you to show expired deals on your blogs or channels. Or if you're running a stock tips channel, you may want to delete all the tips you post after say 10 minutes because that tip is no more relevant for investment making decisions after 10 minutes has expired. So let's create this bot, open the PyCharm and create a new project. Our new project is ready. Let's delete this example code, open terminal and install the library. Python Telegram bot library is installed inside our project. Let's copy this example code and paste it in our main.py file. We can remove this hello function and the handler for this hello function. Now all our bot projects in this tutorial series have two files. The first one is the main.py, which contains all the bot's logics and functions, and the second file is settings.py that will contain all our configurations and tokens. So let's create the settings.py file. Create a new variable that will hold our bot token. Let's copy the Telegram bot token from the bot father. Now we need to import the bot token from the settings file. And you need to pass this Telegram bot token to your updater object. So now we have our updater object ready and some codes that will fetch new updates from this Telegram server, and the updater.idle will keep the bot running. Now we need to split our requirements into small objectives and write those objectives in the form of comments inside our code. And then we will write some code to achieve these objectives one by one. This objective approach makes the programming a bit easier, and it will also give you a sense of confidence when you achieve one objectives. So let's write our first objective, which will be a function to listen new messages in channel. So we need to first create a function that will listen to new messages in the channel. And our second objective will be to create a function to store the message ID and timestamp of the message. So you can later calculate the age of this message and delete it after the amount of time you want to delete. Our third objective will be to create a function that will actually delete the message. Now let's create the function to read the messages. all the callback functions in Python Telegram bot accepts two arguments. The first one is the update and the second one is the context. Let's simply print this update and create one handler to send the new updates to this callback function. To handle to filter out the messages from a Telegram channel, we'll use the message handler. We need to first import the message handler from telegram.ext submodule. We'll also need to use the filters message. Now let's go back to the Python Telegram documentation and search for the filters that we can use to filter the messages of Telegram channels only. So let's search for filters. So here's the documentation for filters. Now we have many different filters like filters.all that will filter all the messages. Filters.animation will filter the animations. Filters.command contacts. Let's search if we have something for channels. Okay, so we have a filter for channel underscore post that will filter all the channel posts. This channel.post filter is inside the filters.update. So let's pass this filter in our message handler. And send that update to our callback function. Now our first objective is complete, that will listen to all the messages received in Telegram channels only. So let's test this code and see if it prints the update. I have already added the bot in my channel. Let's send a message. Okay, we have received this print statement from this callback function. Now we need to obtain two things to delete this message. The first one is the message ID and the second one is the timestamp of this message. So we can calculate later on that how old this message is and delete it. So this message ID and date object is inside the channel.post. So let's create two new variables. Now we have our message ID and timestamp ready. Now in the previous tutorials, we learned about how we can make our bot persistent and how to store some data related to our Telegram chat or bot. So let's add persistence to our bot by importing the pickle persistence class. We need to create a new persistence object. Pickle persistence class accepts an attribute called file name. This name will be used to create the file that will store all your bot data. You can use any name for the data. So let's call it and you need to pass this persistence object to your updater. Now our updater is ready to store all the data we provide it inside the chat data, bot data, and the user data. Now we need to store this received messages along with their timestamp into this chat's data. So let's add this information inside our context. We can use message ID as our key because message ID will always be unique for each chat, so it won't clash. Message ID equals to, we can store a dictionary that will contain the timestamp of the message, and we will also store a boolean value called deleted that will be false by default, and when we will actually delete the message, we will turn this value into true. And you can also store the message ID so our second objective is also completed. We have the function to listen to the new channel posts, extract this message ID and timestamp, and finally store this message ID and timestamp into our context.chat data. Now we also need a function that will calculate the message age. Let's create the function. This function will loop through all the messages in our chat data and calculate the age of the message. And if that message is older than our required time, then we will call this function to delete that message. So first we need to create a new variable in our settings.py. Called max age in seconds. Let's say we want to delete all the messages after 10 seconds. So this object will have to loop through all the data stored in this chat data. So we need to find out where this chat data is stored, because this is a custom function and it does not receive this context object. So we need to find out where this chat data is stored. So let's go back to the documentation and find for chat data. Okay, we can see here that this chat data, bot data, and user data are actually stored inside the dispatcher object. So let's extract the dispatcher object from this updater is equals to updater.dispatcher. So now we have our dispatcher object in a new variable called dp. Now we can use this dp inside our function to get this chat data. So let's look for all the chats in the chat data. This chat data is basically a dictionary which contains the chat ID as key and this all the data we store as the values. So let's do for key and value in dp.chat_data dot items. Here we are calling the chat data from the dispatcher object and then looping for over all the items in that chat data. Now this value is basically this values of message ID as key and this value that we have saved to track our messages. So let's loop for over this again for message underscore ID comma message data in value dot items. Now we are looping over this dictionary and we have to check if this message is already deleted. If message data dot get deleted, if this message is already deleted, we will ignore this and move over to our next item. Now if this message is not deleted, we will calculate the age of this message by using the timestamp. So let's create a new variable called age, which will be equal to we need to get the current time from the Python library. So let's import date time from date time, import date time. Date time dot now minus the timestamp of the message. So this will provide us with the age of this message. So let's convert this age into seconds. Now we have the age of the message in total seconds. Now we will check if this age is greater than the age we have set here. So let's import this max age in second variable from settings. If the age of the message is greater than the max age in seconds that we have set in settings, then we need to actually delete this message. So let's find out how we can delete a message using Python Telegram bot. So to delete a message, the function is delete underscore message and it accepts the arguments. The first one is chat ID, the second one is the message ID. So let's create this function. You can actually delete the message here itself. So let's do, we need the bot object to delete a message. Since this calculate message age does not have the context or the bot object, so let's create a bot object here. The telegram.txt module has a class called bot which accepts the telegram bot token. Now we have the bot object and we can use this bot object to call all the functions that this telegram.bot class accepts. So let's delete this message, bot.delete, and the delete function accepts two arguments. The first one is the chat ID, and this key is actually the chat ID because in dispatcher.chat data, it stores all the chat's data as a key value pair. The key is the chat ID of this chat, and the value are the different data you store for that specific chat. So let's pass the chat ID as key, and the message ID will be our message ID. After we delete the message, we can actually mark this message as deleted. So let's change the deleted value to true. Now we have changed the deleted boolean value to true. So in the next loop, when we reach this code, this will check if the message is deleted already, and it will ignore that message. So this is your third objective, that will delete the message. Now we need to find a way to keep this function running every 5 minutes or so. To run a function in background in Python, we can use threading. So let's create a new thread. To use the thread module, you need to import the thread from the threading import thread. Thread accepts the function you want to run as the argument called target. That will be the name of my function. And finally, you can start the thread. Now let's take a look at what we have until now. Our updater objects will receive all the messages received in our channel, filter out only the channel post, and then pass that update to our handle new update function. This function will extract the message ID and the timestamp and will store that data inside our chat data. And we also have a thread running which will run and calculate the age of the message. If that message age is greater than the age we have set in settings.py, it will delete the message and change its deleted value to true. Now we need to add a while loop to keep this code block running. After every loop, we want to add a sleep of 1 second. So let's import from time, import sleep. Sleep accepts the time in seconds you want to sleep. So let's add 1. Now this calculate message age will complete a loop, and then it will sleep for 1 second. You can also add some sleeps after each message deletion, so you do not hit the API limits of Telegram bot API. So you can add a sleep here of say 1/10 of a second. Now we have everything ready, so let's go ahead and try to run this code to see if it deletes the messages in our channel. So let's stop the bot and run it again. Okay, we have some import error. The bot class is inside the Telegram module and not telegram.txt. So let's fix that and run it again. Now our bot is running, so let's go to the channel and send a post Okay, so we have received a new exception. Let's try to understand what this exception has to say. This exception is in the main.py file at line 27 in our calculate message age function. The error occurs when the bot tries to calculate the age by subtracting the timestamp of the message from the current time, and the actual error is can't subtract offset native and offset aware date times. So this message, the timestamp we receive from the Telegram server is timestamp aware, is time zone aware, and the datetime.now returns a time zone unaware object. So we need to add our, so we need to change our datetime.now to time zone aware object. Let's import time zone from datetime, and we need to pass this time zone dot utc. We need to pass the time zone to datetime.now object. Now it's time zone aware, so let's delete this. So let's stop this bot and run it again. Okay, so I guess this is the correct way. The bot is running now. Let's send a new message, and this messages should get deleted after 10 seconds. It's not working, so let's add a print statement here to check what the value of the age is when the age is calculated. So let's stop the bot and run it again. Okay, we have some wrong values here. Datetime.now. Let's find out how we can get the current date time with timestamp in Python. So let's search that. Okay. Okay, so we are calling the datetime object correctly. What do we have? Um, so we are subtracting the current time. We are subtracting the timestamp from the current time, and then we are checking if the age is greater than message age in seconds. Are we doing something incorrect? Let's try to print these two values. Okay, so I guess it's because my system time is incorrect. So let's update that. Okay, now everything is correct. Now let's run this code again and message to delete not found. We can add a try and accept statement here. Let's try to run this bot again and we will send a new message. Let's wait for 10 seconds. And the message got deleted. So all our functions are working. Let's do some more tests. You can change the number of seconds after which you want to delete the messages, and here, and you can see all the test messages got deleted correctly. So our bot is working perfectly with all the functions, and we have achieved all our objectives. These are the 4 objectives that we wanted to achieve before starting this bot. The first one was to create a function that will listen to all the new messages from a Telegram channel. For that objective, we used the message handler and filtered all the updates to be a channel post. The second objective was to store the message ID and the timestamp. We stored that data inside a context.chat ID, chat data. This chat data is specific for all the different chats. So when you will store the message ID of say destination channel, you will have it will be stored inside a different chat ID. Then we have created a function that will calculate the message age of the message, and if that age is greater than the age we have set in here, it will delete the message and mark it as deleted. Then the loop will sleep for 1/10 of a second and continue to delete the next messages. When this whole loop is completed for all the chats, a function will sleep for 1 second and then will rerun this code block. This way it will keep scanning our messages and keep deleting it. Our persistence object will keep all this chat data saved inside this mybot data file. So this is how you can create a bot that will delete all the messages in your Telegram channel. If you want to learn creating any other bot, you can drop a comment below and I will try to create that bot and do a tutorial for you. So that's it for this video. Hope we will create many more bots in the coming of tutorials.